I'm going to tell you the story of the little old lady who was not afraid of anything. Once upon a time, there was a little old lady who lived in a cottage in the woods, and she had to go out into the woods to collect some herbs and nuts and berries and roots. So she set off into the woods, and she walked for so long and so far that it started to get dark out. So she turned around to head back home with only the sliver of a moon to light her way. And suddenly, around a bend in the path, she stopped. And in the middle of the path, there was an empty pair of shoes. And the empty shoes went clomp, clomp. And the little old lady said, "Get out of my way! You can't scare me, you empty shoes!" And she walked right on past them. But behind her, she could hear 2 empty shoes going clomp, clomp. But the little old lady kept on walking. And soon she came upon an empty pair of pants. And the empty pair of pants went wiggle, wiggle. And the little old lady said, "You empty pair of pants, you get out of my way. I'm not scared of anything." And so she kept on walking just a tiny bit faster. She kept walking on her way home when suddenly, in the middle of her path, she saw an empty shirt. And the empty shirt went wiggle, wiggle. And the little old lady said, "You silly old empty shirt, you can't scare me. I'm not afraid of anything." And she kept on walking, but behind her, she could hear 2 empty shoes going clomp, clomp. 1 empty pair of pants going wiggle, wiggle. And 1 empty shirt going shake, shake. But the little old lady kept on walking, just a little bit faster now, when suddenly she came upon an empty pair of gloves and an empty top hat. And the empty gloves went clap, clap. And the empty hat went nod, nod. And the little old lady said, You get out of here, you empty gloves and hat. You can't scare me. I'm not afraid of anything." And she walked pretty fast on down the path now. But behind her, she could hear 2 empty shoes going clomp, clomp. An empty pair of pants going wiggle, wiggle. An empty shirt going shake, shake. 2 empty gloves going clap, clap. And an empty hat going nod, nod. And the little old lady was walking really fast at this point, and she was almost home, but suddenly, in the middle of their path, there was a very big, very orange, and very scary pumpkin head, and the pumpkin head went boo, boo! And the little old lady screamed and ran all the way home to her cottage. She shut the door and she locked it, and she sat down in her chair and caught her breath. A little bit later, she heard a knock, knock on the door, and she went and opened the door, and what do you think she saw? An empty pair of shoes going clomp, clomp, an empty pair of pants going wiggle, wiggle, an empty shirt going shake, shake, 2 empty gloves going clap, clap, an empty hat going nod, nod, and a big orange scary pumpkin head going boo, boo. And the little old lady said, You can't scare me. What are you doing here?" And the orange pumpkin head said, "Well, we've come to scare you." And the little old lady said, "But you can't scare me." And suddenly, the orange pumpkin head looked really sad. And the little old lady got an idea, and she whispered into the pumpkin head's ear, and the pumpkin head looks a little happier, and he nodded his head, and the little old lady shut the door, made some tea, and went to bed. And when she got up in the morning, she looked out the window, and what do you think she saw? 2 empty shoes going clomp, clomp, an empty pair of pants going wiggle, wiggle, an empty shirt going shake, shake, 2 empty gloves going clap, clap, an empty hat going nod, nod, and a big scary pumpkin head going boo, boo. and scaring all the crows away out of her garden. The end.